Welcome everyone to the Kingdom REI podcast. This is your host Ellis Hammond with my co-host Cameron Roy. What's up, Cameron?
Hey, brother. How are you?
Doing well, man. Hey guys, this is the show for Kingdom real estate investors where we tell the stories, where we spotlight the work of Kingdom real estate investors doing amazing work for the Kingdom of God through real estate investing. And really looking forward to having not one, but two amazing guest and a married couple, a couple who is working together, which is a challenge and a feat of its own, by the way. Caitlyn's shaking her head like, yes, it is. Ethan and Caitlyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here. We're excited.
Let me do this before we go. I always just get so excited to jump in that I forget to just kind of start in prayer. So I'm going to ask Cameron. Cameron, you want to lead us in prayer, man, and we can get the show kicked off?
Yeah, let's do it. Hey, Lord, thank you so much for today and just for the opportunity to connect with some people in this world doing good things, kingdom things for you, that we could take the time to let them tell their story, ask questions, have them encourage the general community listening, God. And I just pray that our time would be fruitful and encouraging, and we'd all leave here just more in love with you, honestly, and how you can use just people like us and all of our faults, all our brokenness, all of our shortcomings to build up your kingdom and to bring others to know you, God. So just pray that happens today. And I pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
So let's start with, I think what's where I was excited to have you both on the show is you're relatable. I mean, you kind of entered into real estate like most people would, I think, just like we want to build wealth through this asset class. And so let's start there. I mean, let's back up and just tell the audience a little bit about yourself, where you're located. And then I want to hear, like, why real estate? Why did you even get into this? Because it really wasn't your background, if I remember correctly.
Nope. Man, we didn't make much money. We were dating at the time.
Yeah.
And we'll just start from there. We were 17, 16 years old, and waiting tables, I was making like $20,000 a year. Anyways, my parents have had some rental properties, and so I always knew it was like a smart thing to do. So I knew I wanted to buy my own house. So bought our first house right after we got married.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just like
a month after we got married. Yeah.
Anyways, bought that and lived in it, and then got this wild hair idea to.
Well, I wanted a family. I wanted kids. I was like, all right, it's time to have babies. And he got scared. He was like, let's move into an RV so there's no room to have babies.
It is true.
Was that communicated, or was that like, that was your secret way?
It was like I don't know, something in the back of his mind was maybe this will keep her from wanting to have kids a little longer, like slow her down a little bit, which it did. There's not a lot of room in an RV. So he got this wild idea. Let's move into an RV, remodeled it, turned it into like a modern looking tiny home. And then we ended up living in it for 5 years. So
yeah, we thought it was going to be like 6 months. We're like, let's try this for 6 months, maybe a year. 5 years later, we were still in this thing. But
yeah, so we rented our house out.
Rented it out. That was the idea is, hey, let's turn this house that we're in. Cause man, we just worked a lot. We were only home to just like sleep and mow the yard. It's kind of what it felt like. So I was like, anyway, so we rented it out, and through the process, we're able to buy 3 more properties. Yeah. 3 more houses. Wow. And this is kind of the crazy thing. I remember sitting in like a creek. We live on a creek, close to a creek. And I remember like sitting in that creek, talking to my brother. I was like, man, all I have to get is like 30 of these properties, and then I can replace my current income, and it can be totally passive. I'm like, that's all I have to do. I'm like, I can totally do that. I wanted to do it by the time I was 30.
Sounds terrible now. Sounds absolutely terrible.
Yeah, single family homes. Yeah.
That many.
But I just did
be passive. It's like I don't think that's like the exact opposite of passive.
We didn't know.
But it was like real in my mind. I was like, that's all I got to do. And so that's when we started like buying the single family homes, and bought them. And then like through that process was like, I just liked learning about real estate. So listening to podcasts, reading books, whatever. And somehow I fell on like storage facilities as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. Like, I don't have people calling me about the toilet. I won't have people calling me about the HVAC system going down.
Oh.
Yeah. So started learning more about that. And we loved the storage facility business. But anyways, that was kind of the goal, was doing the single family homes until I got that idea to look for storage facilities. And so I'm like, well, I mean, the numbers are just on the billboards. You just call, and see if you can get the owners. And so that's what I did. I just like started creating a list. Every time I drive by one of these facilities, I just write the number down and call them. And I kept in touch with one guy. This was through 3 years ago now. We'd actually power washed. We have a pressure washing company as well. But we had actually power washed for him at his storage facility, and called him, and they weren't interested. Most people I call weren't interested in selling. Yeah, in selling. Which is, I was like, that's fine. No problem. I'll just touch base with you if you don't mind. I'll just check back with you, 6 months or a year or something. That's what we did. It's a crazy story how we got this property. If we want to go into those details right now, we can.
Let's save it. We'll come back to it, but I don't think we're going to need any filler, but yes, well, let's come back to it. So pretty amazing. So first off, you move. I just think for anyone that's like listening to this who's like wanting to break into real estate, first off, like the grit. That's why I love real estate investing. Like it is and not, I hope you appreciate this. Like it is, I feel like it's the last frontier for someone who, maybe didn't go to Ivy school or doesn't come from like a wealthy background to like create significant wealth for them and their family. And this is exactly what y'all did. You moved into an RV. I say this all the time. I didn't buy my first place until I got married. And my wife, no way, was like, Caitlyn, man, I'm like, that's amazing.
I was told it was 6 months.
You stayed 5 years, so you must have started liking it. Something happened.
Yeah, some parts were fine. No mortgage was pretty nice.
I always say, like, man, I wish I'd have got started a couple years before I got married because I'd have lived in the garage. There's just so many. I look back, I'm like, I would have done. I definitely would have built a bigger portfolio before I got married. So I love that. The grit of buying 3 homes. I just think that's a huge takeaway that, if you have some grit, some creativity, and you're willing to sacrifice a little bit, it's why, I always say real estate is not the end goal for building wealth. It really is the starting point to building wealth. And so, I don't know, kudos to you for realizing that and getting started.
Yeah, thanks. We received that.
Cameron, what sticks out so far?
Yes. So, I sound a lot like me as far as just the way I figured it out. I thought one way and, after a little bit of education and just catching on some stuff, I found a different way, and it's kind of evolved like that for me over time as well. I am curious, and maybe Ellis, you want to talk about this later, so stop me if not, but I am curious how this marriage, business partner relationships work, because my wife, and I got to ask Ellis about it too, because he's about to enter that world. Yep. My wife is a labor and delivery nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't talk business. Like, she loves what I do. She loves that I'm all in real estate. I'm a real estate investor. I'm always doing awesome things in real estate, but that's not her care or concern. And
sounds familiar.
If we decided to do anything together like this, divorce is never be on the table for us, but a good fight would be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How you guys make this work? It sounds like he duped you into a living situation.
That's what I tried to do for years. It didn't work.
And
there is a massive testimony behind this. I don't know how deep you guys want to go into our real life, but it is a massive God story.
No, we want to stay completely surface level in the
okay, we'll go in. You guys want to?
I'd love to hear about it.
I also served for 8 years from the time that I started having a job until just the past couple of years. And I never knew, so your wife knows her passion. I never knew, or like what she loves doing, labor and delivery, whatever it is she's doing. I'm sure she is like passionate about it or enjoys some aspect of it. And I never had anything. I felt like I was constantly walking in Ethan's footsteps of he's the entrepreneur, he's the business guy. I'm just in the back. Actually, I probably was bringing in a little more money during his first few years with the serving job, but I was always supporting him, I guess you could say, but from the back seat. And I never wanted anything to do, especially with our pressure washing business. He's put a lot of time, a lot of money. It was like sun up to sundown. He's an Enneagram 3. If you know anything about the Enneagram, he is an achiever. He is a go-getter. He does not stop unless you make him.
Yeah.
And so that actually was really, really hard on our marriage. It ended up with me being unfaithful a few years back. And that was like a rock bottom, terrible, terrible season that we went through that totally shifted what our marriage looked like. I grew up as a Christian in a Christian home, grew up in the church. And so did he. And we always have known Jesus, but I've never truly followed him until that rock bottom point. And I think sometimes it takes hitting that in order for things to shift. And so in that, we were so desperate to keep our marriage working into things had to change. And so we started marriage counseling.
Spent a lot of money on marriage counseling.
A lot of money on marriage counseling. Just starting to work through like, okay, well, and honestly, I was planning on getting a different job. I didn't want to work full time with him in that, especially in that season. We were trying to figure everything out. So I was applying for jobs. I was about to get this job the week that COVID hit. And so it was like a job at this resort here in town. And COVID hit. They laid off all of their employees, so I couldn't even get a job. And so it was like, okay, well, I'm already doing some of this work for the businesses. How about we start paying me? Like then we can start there. So started paying me. And honestly, like God just completely changed my heart through this season. I didn't even ask him to give me a heart for the business or for real estate or for anything that Ethan was doing. And he slowly but surely like got in there and totally changed my heart for Ethan and my heart for business. And it has been a night and day difference. And since then, it's been a couple of years now, since COVID, but we now work full time side by side and we have lots of boundaries. It's a really big, important thing, but lots of boundaries that have helped create structure for how our day-to-day goes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a little bit about us.
Caitlyn, this just became a show right now.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah, we went there.
Thank
you for being
sharing
vulnerable.
that. Yeah, that's huge. And that's such a good reminder. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are achievers, threes. Listen, I am whatever on the Enneagram where like you don't really care, like you just move so fast that I've taken it, but I don't even remember. So that's probably a 3 or a 7 or something.
Seven,
like that.
dog.
Sevens are fun. Are you fun?
He's a 7 wing 8. I'm sure of it. Yeah.
I'm a 7, so I'm all about the play. He's all about the work. Like,
Yeah,
let's go.
yeah.
I'm like, no, let's have fun while we go.
But no, I think that's well for this show, and I appreciate you sharing that testimony and being an example for both of you. I mean, there's business is not everything, and even though we are called as entrepreneurs, as Kingdom real estate investors, to create margin and create profitability, that can sometimes be to our demise. And so I love that God is renewing that in your story, and clearly you're a great picture now of what it looks like to be side by side in business in real estate.
Yeah. I feel like we gave you our story, but like if for practically like working together, so a lot of people don't have like a rock bottom moment of where our story's a little different, but practically things that have really been good for us, like planning out if the night before, because as an entrepreneur, when you're full-time in real estate, you don't have necessarily someone telling you when to show up, where, and to do what, right? Like you kind of have to figure it out on your own. So one thing that's been really good for us is the night before every single day, we go through like, hey, these are things that are important to me tomorrow. And this is where I'm going to be when, and creating that structure is like a super practical tool for doing life side by side every day.
I'll have to even back up a little bit more than that. If anyone's like in my position where I just, I like to work a lot, that didn't work at all. I had to develop a routine where I shut work down. Because you can't, especially if you work together, you can't take that home into time with family or time where you're just supposed to spend with each other. So I had to develop a routine. I just call my workday shutdown routine. Actually, it came from the Full Focus Planner, Michael Hyatt's, but I do that routine every single day at the end of my workday. And once that routine is done, I can shut my mind off of work much easier. And that way I can be more, involved. Present. Yeah.
What does that routine look like?
Yeah, for me, it's planning out the next day. So that's a big one. I update it every once in a while, but so it's planning out the next day. Actually, I plan out 2 days in advance, like almost every hour what I'm doing. I check all my KPIs and my businesses. I review our schedule 2 days out for the different companies. One last check on the email. And then I log all my heavy tasks or my tasks that felt really hard. Because I like keeping track of those. That way I can eliminate them or delegate them out. So I log those heavy tasks. I log things called God winks. Anytime God winked at me that day, because I want to keep track of the things I'm grateful for, the things that were awesome. That's the majority of it. Yeah. That's it. I'll change it up every once in a while. But once I do those things, it ties up all the little loose knots that I had in that day. The biggest thing is transferring my tasks that I was working on that day over to the next day. That way I'm not constantly thinking about that. Because now I know, if, like in the evening, if I think about that, I'm like, oh crap, I didn't do that one thing. Well, it's no problem. I'll get it done tomorrow. I'll finish working on it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Incredible. Can we jump back to real estate real quick? I want to go back to this really, bro. You want to talk about your self-storage, like breaking into self-storage, really. I mean, from a waiter, and whatever. I mean, that was just amazing. So you started calling these numbers. I mean, you found a deal clearly. I mean, storage probably not that sexy, but you can share it. I'm curious, like, how did you know what to do with it? Like,
we didn't.
We didn't.
Yeah.
We got so blessed. We were actually under contract to buy. We wanted to flip a house at the same time. So we were under contract to flip this house.
Yeah. I got on my knees and prayed that day that the contractors are coming to look at the house. We hadn't closed yet. I was like, God, just do more than we could ever think or imagine with our next property. And then that deal fell through and we were so sad. I was like, dang it. Like, God did not hear my prayer, but little did I know he had something way bigger in store. And it was within a week or two, the storage facility owner of our first storage facility, they called and they're like, hey, so you've asked me a couple of times if I wanted to sell. I changed my mind. I see people, who are 10 years older than me and they're not getting around so hot. Like, I kind of want to take this time to sell, spend time with my wife, go travel, that kind of thing. Let's meet up and talk about selling. So God really did way more than we could ever imagine, even though I was mad at him for a minute. He had something bigger in store. But yeah, so talk about the deal.
Yep, we took him out to dinner and just started talking about it. It's incredible what happened. This should not have happened. This is it's a 240 unit facility. It's 3 acres. So it's not small, it's not huge. But they wanted to sell it for 1.4 million. Or maybe it was more than that. I don't know. Anyways, 1.4 million.
It was a little higher. They dropped it as we went, but
yep. And we had no idea if that was a good deal or not. But what they want, like, they were willing to finance like 60% of it or something. Owner finance like 60% of it. And we just needed to come up with the other, which I don't remember.
Which we would have needed like a loan for our down payment.
Yeah.
Like a loan for a loan for a loan. We don't make any money.
We didn't have any money, man.
We made like 40 grand a year.
I think we had like 10,000 in the bank. So I was like, dude, going on every single rock I knew, asking we went to family dinners. I was like asking my aunts and uncles. I'm like, listen, guys, I want to buy the storage facility. I need some money. I need like $400,000 or something. I don't know what I needed. I
bet you sounded crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
It was like,
everyone was like, good for you, but we're out. So I went back to the owners and like, hey, listen, this was so generous of you guys to even be willing to owner finance, 60% of it, but I can't come up with the rest of the money. Like, if I do, I'm going to have to like go get a hard money or something. And it's going to be these high interest rates. I'm like, I really can't do it. So I was like, anyways, I just was basically going to say, sorry, like, that was really nice of you, but you might need to go look for someone else. And they're like, well, let's do some numbers real quick. And so we quickly did some other numbers and come down to it. They ended up financing it to us 100%.
0% down.
And they wouldn't even let us put any money down on it.
We had $20,000 that we were like, we can just give you $20,000 cash, like, as a thank you, like just something. Like, yeah, let us give you something. And they're like, no, you're gonna, like, you guys will probably end up needing it at some point while figuring out the business. Like, just keep it.
Were they believers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. So we were able to find, it was a 4.35 fixed interest rate for 30 years at 0% down. So it was like every time.
How much was your interest rate?
4.35.
Wow. And for 30 years.
For 30 years.
They were going to owner finance that.
Yes.
That long.
Yes. And it was like every time. So we took how much rent was coming in. We knew how much they needed to pay themselves every month to continue their current lifestyle. And then we were able to work the loan and the interest rate to a sweet spot of them not having to pay a ton in taxes with selling the facility, and them still being able to provide their monthly expenses for their monthly expenses.
So you guys didn't use a bank at all. They pretty much became the bank.
Correct.
And so really this couple wanted the cash flow. However, they didn't want the overhead anymore of managing a facility. And this pretty much became their passive income in retirement.
Yeah.
Yes.
They found a young couple that they trusted it with.
And they really didn't have to suffer that much. I mean, they were making maybe 10% less than what they were, or something like that.
And they owned it outright. So they, bought it, or they started building it 40 years ago now.
Yeah.
So they didn't owe anything on it. So for them to get $7,000 a month on a mortgage covered what they were bringing home anyway. So win-win.
Yeah. So that you just don't hear about those. Like, it's crazy.
I love that story, man.
Yeah. So any deal now just doesn't sound as good.
How could it,
But
right?
we did though. Like we did. Our second deal is almost just as good. We didn't have owner financing on it.
Yeah.
We said different loan, but still.
So how many parks do you own now?
Just the two facilities.
The two self-storage parks now.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you're part of the coaching mentorship program now at Kingdom REI. The goal is to really grow and expand into self-storage, correct?
Yeah. And I was working on a lot of that today, sending out letters.
Yeah. So what does a day-to-day look like for you guys? I mean, for those who are listening, I mean, to come into this and you're just kind of hitting the phones, but hitting the streets, banging the phones. I mean, talk to us what day-to-day really looks like for.
Yeah, we basically still have like a day job, right? Because we have our pressure washing company, which takes up a lot of, at least my time, probably 50% of your time too.
Yeah.
So we kind of still have our day job. Now it's our own company and it provides really good cash flow, but that's not what we're passionate about really, is not the pressure washing company. And it's just, I don't love the business model of service companies. So we kind of have the day job. So that takes a good amount of time, but we have our real estate investing, which we want to do more of. So we manage a team of, depending on the time, 6 to 8.
Depending on the day.
Depending on
How
the
many
day.
employees you have.
Yeah.
In a company that's in a service business, that makes
Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah.
But around 8 to 10
6
during busy time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we manage that during the day, but I will, and I've been ramping this up a lot more in the past couple months, but I'll take just a couple hours throughout every day and I'll just work on my leads, work on my analyzing, analyze the deals that I have, call prospective owners, look for more owners. So I'll just, a couple hours a day, I'll spend working on that. She manages the storage facilities we have now. That takes up a little bit of her time, but they're really easy to manage.
Mhm.
So we do that. We do love people. We love our employees. We say we're a people development company who just happens to clean houses. And we really do find that's 100% true. We love developing the people who work for us. And it's been pretty cool what we've been able to do with people who've come and gone throughout our company.
Yeah, Caitlyn, I'm curious. I mean, in terms of real estate for you, as you think about you, the family you want to build, and just even the way your faith integrates. I know your faith in both of you. I mean, your faith integrates so much into who you are and what you're trying to do. I mean, why real estate? Why not just focus in on the self-storage? I mean, you could probably build that to a profitable company as well, but why even get into self-storage?
My side of it, Ethan loves getting the deals. And then I genuinely love creating systems to make it run super smooth. So that is like my little, I don't know. I love it. I love spreadsheets. I love any kind of organization. That's where I come in. So Ethan finds the deals and then I take it over from there. And I really enjoy it. I love managing so I'm not the main manager at each of our facilities. They each have a manager and I can't kind of manage and pour into them. But a lot of, especially because it's so new for us, has been creating those systems and structures. And the facilities that we have bought up to this point are ones that are kind of mismanaged or like they don't accept credit cards, or like the first one didn't even have like an online system. So you couldn't pay your bill online, or you had to pay cash or check. You had to come to the facility. So there was all these super inefficient systems that I've been able to come in and totally recreate and make it mostly automated. So that's what I really love. That's my favorite part about it. And then I also, just the fact that it's pretty passive.
It's very passive.
Very passive. So that's why I love this self-storage and just real estate in general. Very passive. It's not even, it like opens up, it gives us resources so that we can be able to do things that we actually love doing. So even though I'm not passionate about our pressure washing company, I love the people, and I love that we get to spend time pouring into the people. And it may not be bringing in all of the money, but it just, real estate has been able to open doors for us to be able to do those things through passive income, or whether that's, I don't know, like serving at our church, or being able to travel with people we love, or be able to go to events to better ourselves. It just is more passive for us to, allow us to be able to do those things.
That's well said. That's very well said. That quote where there's no margin, there's no mission. And I think, I just think that's why I appreciate that testimony, why we have this show, why we have our mastermind, why we have our coaching community. Like, we want Christians to be profitable. Like, it's amazing how much that like has to be whispered in some circles, whereas like, why would we not want kingdom-minded people to have margin in their lives so they can have a greater impact and be able to focus on the thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so I just think that's really well said, Caitlyn. Absolutely.
Ellis, I don't remember who said it in the mastermind, but someone said, kind of the extent of what you just iterated on, of where the measure of faith in your business is that there is margin. And, that challenged me a lot. I'm curious, as you guys, you talked about serving with your church in your business. And I love the concept of just pouring into people. And Caitlyn, how you said, may not be passionate about it, but that's the reason why there's so much inconsistency in this world, is everybody's passion chasing. So it's like one day they're passionate about this, the next day they're passionate about that. Yeah. But if you could be purpose focused, you can grow a passion for your purpose, even if it's not that at the beginning.
True.
Yeah.
What do you guys think right now? Like, all you have going on, all the interests, all the goals, everything that you're responsible for, what is it very clear that God is calling you to right now? Like, to do with his people, with his businesses, you guys stewarding it. Where do you feel like God has you right now? What he is expecting of you and asking you to be faithful in?
Ethan?
That's such a good question. It's so hard to answer. Like, it's a common question. Like, what is God calling you to do? And it's very hard to answer, because you never really, I don't think you ever fully know. Not very few people fully know for 100%. But for me, it's building generational wealth. And the reason why is because, so I'll just share. I hate sharing this, but I think it's really it affects people in a big way. We give away 40% of the money we make. All the money we make, we give away So we tithe 10% to our church, and then the other 30%, we have a giving account, and we're able to use that for so many cool things, for just blessing people we're around, and not just other believers. I mean, just blessing our employees, the people we run across at the restaurant, whatever it might be. So as we make more money, we're able to bless people more, and that's a big one for me.
Generosity.
Yeah.
So you should start there next time when you come on the Kingdom Warrior podcast show. So
we're giving away 40%.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I wanted that. Why are you ashamed to say that?
Because I hate bragging on myself. I don't like people looking at me. And so that's why I don't want it to ever come across as, oh, hey, look at me, like I give away 40%.
Yeah. I understand that. I think there are some circles where that would feel that. I do think though, man, like, it clearly 40% is radical. And when you look at what most people, even that come on the show, give from their business. So I would say, in some ways I would also change your mindset to say, man, consider what circles you're in. Like a show like this, where you come on and say, hey, we give 40% of our income, would really encourage and inspire folks like me, for example, to be like, man, we really don't give enough, like what, or even begging the question of why do I want to hold on to more? And so I think, that's pretty incredible. I have a follow-up question. So you just give 40% off the top of whatever comes in. Instead of giving 10, you give 40. Is that what I'm hearing?
40% of the money that we make.
Personal income.
Yeah.
So our storage facilities pay us, and so does our pressure washing company. And so 40% of that. And then we do 10% of profits from our businesses at the end of the year. We do a monthly, but at the end of the year, we assess how much, make sure we tithe that at least 10%, and then go from there.
Yep.
Reassess every year.
Yep.
But anything that comes to Ethan and I, or if we take an extra draw at the end of the year, 40% of that gets set aside to
Where'd you
give.
get that number from? Like, where
That's
did
what I
that
was gonna
come out
ask.
of?
Yeah.
We just started increasing it,
Well,
man.
we started at 5%. We've always tithed. That was something we both were we were taught growing up.
Yeah.
So we've always tithed. And then we started, I don't know, when we got married, we just decided we wanted to give more. And so we started with 5%, super doable.
We set up
really
a separate
small.
account and we have a little debit card.
It's called our giving account. We just, every time we put money into the bank, we would tithe our 10% and we would give the 5% to the other account. And the cool thing about that is if you do it right away, you don't feel emotionally attached to it. You don't see it. You don't think it's yours. It's somebody else's. It's out of sight, out of mind. It's not in that same checking account that you're always looking at. And I grew up, like, there were times that like we couldn't go to a birthday party because we didn't have the money for a gift. Like, how stupid to miss out on like fun community type building relationship type things because you didn't have money for a gift.
Mhm.
So like little things like that. If you just set it aside, you want to go to a birthday party, you need a gift, you have money right there. Where you see someone on the side of the street, God, you feel the Holy Spirit telling you to give them money, you have it there. Like, it's just a nice, I don't know. It's been really good for us to have. So then from that 5%, we slowly have increased it as we have felt called to. I don't know. I guess like I don't know what made us decide to.
We just kept going up.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll keep going, I guess.
Man,
I don't know. We
that's
don't really
crazy.
have a rule on
40% is
it.
not like you could do more. Like the goal, that's just where you're at currently. Like we're catching you
Yeah.
at 40% is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes.
Let's
And-
go.
Ethan, I would say, brother, that's a very honorable thing to not, want to put yourself in the limelight. And I would just say this, man. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 11, follow me as I follow Christ. And he's not saying because I'm so great, but I've tasted and seen it's this way. And it's in these
That's good.
things. I want you to taste and drink of it. So I would implore you, man, not to go, wear a hat that says I give away 40%. Maybe that's how you start a conversation. But not be ashamed to tell people what you're doing that leads you to more fullness in Christ, and implore them to come onto that ship with you.
Yeah, Cameron, that's I received that. It's good.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good word. Guys, this is really fun. I'm so excited to continue to get to know you and be a part of your journey. And yeah, I mean, it's clear that God is at work in both of you, and it's cool to see that you're working together. And I'm looking forward to doing some deals together and seeing what we can come up with and help build some systems. I'm glad that we had this conversation, Ethan, to understand a little more what you're doing, because the fact that you're still making calls and spending your time, I think there's clear ways we can help grow and develop that through coaching and mentorship too, man. So anyways, excited for this. Where can folks, where can we, I hope this is not the last time we hear of you, but I'm sure other people want to follow your journey. Are you blogging this? Are you tweeting about this? Like, where do people
not
go
a lot,
follow
but
you?
Caitlin's pretty active. So I'm not on any social media. I'm not, but Caitlin's very active on Instagram. And we have tossed around the idea quite a bit of starting both an Instagram and a podcast for marriage.
Marriage and business.
Yeah. So that might be coming, but I don't know if you want to
Stay
share
tuned.
your Instagram.
Yeah, my Instagram is kate.lynn.moore. If you catch Ethan on there, he's pretty funny. You get to see his true colors.
How do you spell Lynn? Kate dot.
Yeah, KAIT.Lynn LYN.moore.
L what?
LYN.
This is way too complicated. Like,
I've had it forever. I'm surprised it's not like.
yeah,
I
but
don't
you can change.
I know. I just have it. I'm not that popular, so.
So wait, real quick too. Are you guys high school sweethearts? Y'all been together since you were 17?
Ish.
We've known each other since we were like
12.
12.
But yeah, so when I was like 14, we started talking. You can't really date when you're that young,
Sure.
especially when you can't go anywhere. But I was like 14, Ethan was 15, and then he got a cool truck, so he could drive me places. So that caught my interest.
That's how it happened.
And how long have y'all been married?
We got married when I was 18, so it's been eight and a half years. We were babies.
That's awesome.
I don't know who let us get married that young.
We didn't think we were going to make it 2 years ago, but we did.
All right, so
far.
folks, if you want to follow them, so the best place is to go to Kate, kate.lynn.moore, because You guys you don't even have like a website yet to start raising money or anything like that, right?
No.
No.
Man, we have so much work to do, guys. There's so
Yeah.
much work to do together. So, anyways, I'm Kate.Lynn, CAIT.LYN.MOORE. And hey, Caitlin, this looks pretty good. We got to get some real estate content on here for sure, though.
All right, I'm in.
She's incredible with social media, Instagram. It's she needs to do more with it, but
Yeah, no doubt.
Love it.
All right. Hey, well, this was awesome. Thanks for coming on.
yeah. Thanks, man. This has been fun.
All right, everyone. Talk soon.
Okay.
Peace.
See ya.